All right, we're about to dive into a pretty radical idea from the book, Why Greatness Cannot Be Planned. And honestly, it might just flip how you think about success. What if our constant focus on goals, on having that clear objective, what if that's the very thing that's holding us back from achieving something truly amazing?
You probably heard this quote from John Lennon before. Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. And that quote, it perfectly captures the core conflict here. Our absolute obsession with having a plan versus the messy, unpredictable way that real breakthroughs actually happen.
I mean, think about it for a second. Our entire culture is pretty much built on this one core belief. To do anything great, you have to have a clear objective. It's the golden rule, right? It's drilled into us from day one, and we almost never stop to question it.
This objective-first mindset is, well, it's everywhere. In school, you've got learning objectives. At work, it's all about hitting targets. We plan our careers, we need a clear hypothesis to get funding for science. Heck, we even have checklists for our personal lives. Having a goal is so baked into our world, we barely even notice it anymore.
The book uses this great analogy of the kids' game hot and cold. We're all taught to follow what it calls the gradient. Basically, we're constantly checking. Are we getting hotter? Are we getting closer to our goal? If the answer is yes, we just keep going in that direction. Sounds simple enough, right?
And look, on the surface, that makes perfect sense. But, and this is the huge bombshell the book drops, what if that compass is broken? What if the very goal we're so focused on is actually pointing us in the complete wrong direction?
And that brings us to the core concept of the book, deception. Deception is what happens when the path to a really ambitious, amazing goal is paved with stepping stones that look nothing like the final destination. In those cases, trying to measure how close you are is, well, it's worse than useless. It's actively leading you astray. A perfect, simple example is the Chinese finger trap. You know the one, right? The objective is obvious. Get your fingers out. The intuitive, goal-oriented move is to pull as hard as you can. But what happens? It just gets tighter. The only solution is to do something totally counterintuitive, to push your fingers inward, moving away from your goal, to create the slack you need to escape.
So this isn't just a cool party trick or a clever analogy. The authors actually watched this principle play out in a real experiment they created called Pick Breeder. It was a website where people could take images, mash them together, and evolve totally new pictures. And what they found was that the most incredible discoveries took the most bizarre and unexpected paths. Get this. One of the most amazing images to ever come out of the experiment was a super detailed picture of a car. But you know how it was made? Not by someone trying to make a car. Nope. It was discovered by accident, by someone who is just clicking on pictures they thought looked interesting. And the direct evolutionary ancestor to that car image? It was a picture that looked like an alien's face. If your goal was make a car, you would never have clicked on the alien face. And you see this in the real world all the time. Johnny Depp was dead set on being a musician, and it was that meandering path that just so happened to lead him to acting. Colonel Sanders tried and failed at like a half-dozen different jobs before, at age 40, he started cooking chicken at his gas station. For both of them, their greatest success was a complete surprise, not the result of some grand 5-year plan.
So, if chasing our big, shiny goals directly is like using a broken compass, what are we supposed to do? What's the alternative? Just wander around with no direction at all?
Well, the book offers this really fascinating alternative called novelty search. The idea is actually super simple. You just ignore the final destination. Instead, you reward anything that's new, anything that's different, or anything that's just plain interesting. The focus completely shifts from racing to a finish line to just collecting really cool stepping stones. Let's put these two side by side. The old way, the objective-driven search, is linear. It's trying to get from point A to point B, but it gets stuck really easily. Novelty search, on the other hand, is all about exploration. It doesn't care about good or bad, it only cares about different. So instead of moving on a straight line, it expands outward from simple to complex, building this incredible library of possibility.
And this, right here, is the big punchline. The book argues that the most powerful creative forces in the universe, from evolution itself to human discovery, they all work so well precisely because they aren't trying to get anywhere specific. They thrive on the unpredictable, on the random, on just exploring what's possible. Now, this all leads to a conclusion that might feel a little unsettling at first, but is actually incredibly liberating. That feeling of control we get when we set a huge, ambitious goal, the authors say it's basically a mirage, an illusion. We never really had that much control to begin with, because the path to anything truly new and great is always, by its very nature, completely unpredictable.
So it all boils down to this one powerful, paradoxical message, a statement that flips everything we've been taught about achievement completely on its head. To achieve our highest goals, we must be willing to abandon them. This isn't just some abstract theory, you know? It's a real challenge to how we approach our jobs, our creative projects, and our lives. So I'll just leave you with this to chew on. What could you discover? What kind of greatness could you accidentally stumble upon if you just stopped planning so much and simply started exploring?